Join me on this journey along Churnet Valley Railway, starting in Froghall Station. The locomotive in service today is number 6046, originally built by the Baldwin Locomotive Company in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, USA. The locomotive was exported straight to France in 1945 to help with the war effort. Once her use with the French SNCF came to an end, many S160s were scrapped, though 6046 found her way to Hungary. The S160s were classified as the MAV 411 class by the Hungarian State Railways, and 6046 became 411.144. She spent the majority of her working life on industrial lines, before being withdrawn. She was formally preserved in the Hungarian National Collection, however, due to an administrative error, she was sent for scrap. Fortunately though, she was saved from the cutter's torch after a UK preservation learned of her plight, being purchased by Martin Haynes, a pilot who brought her to the UK with the intention of restoring her. She arrived into the UK complete and was sent to Teesley, where she was positioned around the turntable and restoration began. Eventually though, she was sold to Greg Wilson, who moved her kit of parts to the Churnet Valley Railway, who then restarted her restoration in 2006. On the 29th of June 2012, 6046 was steamed and moved under her own power for the first time ever on UK metals. Since then, she's proved to be a reliable performer, working at both CVR and North Yorkshire Moors Railway, with a visit to the West Somerset in 2013. Sadly though, in 2014, whilst on hire to the Nene Valley, she suffered a damaged cylinder block that required a full replacement. Repairs were completed at Teesley and the locomotive returned to traffic in February 2016 before a successful return to service that culminated in her starring at Telford Steam Centre hauling their Polar Express specials. Now that the locomotive has completed their runaround manoeuvre, they are backing on to the carriages. You can see here that the fireman gets down from the locomotive and makes his way towards the coupling, where he will join the locomotive to the carriages. A look inside, seeing the fire roaring and the driver and cleaner both preparing for their journey. The guard gives us a whistle, clear right of way, and we make off to the journey along Churnet Valley Railway. Now that we're out of the station limits, the train will begin to pick up speed. The journey is now well underway through Staffordshire's hidden valley and into the Staffordshire moorlands on the outskirts of the Peak District. So the train is now approaching Consall station. A 10-mile-an-hour board on our left-hand side gives the driver the indication that he needs to slow down. He will then approach the station at a reasonable pace. We can see a limited clearance board on that bridge as we passed. Once we arrive in the station, the train will come to a full stop to allow any passengers to board and any passengers that wish to get off to get off. The train will then wait here to be given the signal by the guard to move off. Now that we leave the station, you can see another speed board. This means that the locomotive can get up speed to the maximum of 25 miles an hour. Of course, that is the maximum on a heritage railway. The train crew are still watching out to make sure that the train is intact. Obviously we went across a crossing, so they were making sure that that is all clear and there's no problems. Now we are approaching Cheddleton. You can see here on the right hand side that there is lots of coaching stock and old wagons, locomotives and parts. This is the engineering storage area just on the outside of Cheddleton station, where they store all of their coaches and projects. You can see in the distance there, Cheddleton station, with a diesel locomotive sat in the siding. We have a water tower as well at this station. You might have just seen that in the distance on the left. As we get to the platform, you can see these little boxes on the ground. That's because the platform is much lower than the height of the carriages. We wait here for around 10 or 15 minutes, give people a chance to get off, have a look around, before departing and making our way back along the line. Looking just past the locomotive, you'll be able to see one of the station crew closing the gates. This is a working road crossing, so those gates need to be closed before the locomotive can proceed. We're now approaching Cheddleton Tunnel, which is 531 yards long. Once we get into the tunnel, have a look at the smoke coming out of the chimney. You can see just how hot the fire in the grate is by the glow that is being thrown up to the top of that tunnel. We are now an unmanned crossing, so the train crew needs to get down from the locomotive and close these gates themselves before the train can move on. Moving off is a slow and steady process. The driver needs to make sure that he doesn't apply too much power by opening the regulator too far, and that could cause wheel slip, and obviously he doesn't want to overstress the locomotive. Obviously we've got quite a lot of carriages behind us, which would be a lot of weight, so moving off and getting up to speed does take a little bit of time, as you can see here. The line that you can see going straight ahead takes the locomotive directly into Stoke-on-Trent. However, that isn't used at the moment, but the line is still there and intact. It's not serviceable, so the train is unable to travel along that route. The next part of the journey is uphill. I'm sure that they said that this was a 1 in 50 incline. You can see the locomotive is really working hard along this stretch. I hope that you enjoy this section of the video. It's probably one of my favourites, so I'm going to leave the footage that I took completely intact for this part. If you would like to skip this section, I'll put a timestamp in the description, and you can do that. you look closely down on the left hand side as we pass here, you can see the ruins of an old station. At least that's what we were told. We come to a stop here because there is a farm track just up ahead with limited visibility. So once again, the locomotive crew need to get down from the engine, walk up to the farm track and make sure that it's clear before the locomotive can then proceed. The driver will then stop again to pick up his crew before we head off back up the line to complete the journey. This is where the journey comes to an end. The locomotive will stop at the end of this short curve. Won't make it right round the corner there. Before the crew gets down and uncouples the locomotive from the carriages so that it can use that runaround road that you can see off to the left. The locomotive will then attach to the other side of the carriages before making its way back to Froghall station. The points have to be adjusted manually as well, as there is nobody here to do that. There's no signal box and there's no crossing keepers. So the train crew are responsible for changing the points. Once the driver gets the right of way, he will move off, as he has done there. He will go up past those points. The train crew will switch them, and then the locomotive will proceed back down the line. I hope that you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel, where I hope to have a lot more varied content just like this. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Cheers.